Today we are here with Rudy Hansen, who recently got his Formula D license in Texas. This is his car from Drift Week 2. He did Drift Week 1 in the Corvette that burned down, and now he's going to be doing Drift Week 2 in the car that survived, no, Drift Week 3 in the car that survived Drift Week 2, but he just built a Formula D car for Pro Spec?
Pro Spec.
Pro Spec 2?
Pro Spec 2 is no longer in it, just Pro Spec.
They just killed it?
They're just calling it a spec class, basically.
Okay, so what we're going to talk to him about, I try and pick items that are interesting because the person has something going on in their life. He is a new Pro Spec driver. He was building a car for the series. Were you originally building it for Pro 2 Spec and you had to change it for Pro Spec?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really had to change on it is the ECU.
Oh, so, that's not so bad.
No, I mean, I didn't have the pedal block changed, and I didn't have the column changed. Mm-hmm. At this point, I have a rear mount radiator, but that still may not come even into effect yet. So that's not even a rule yet. They're just talking about it. So they're telling people if you're building stuff, maybe just don't do that.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with kind of the basics. I met him on Drift Week 1. He was in a C4. Since then, he's been driving a massive amount. He's been getting so much better, so fast. There's almost no one I know that's drifting as much as this guy, except Chelsea or somebody, or Andrew Gray over in Japan or something that has access to a track all the time. He is driving how many days a month?
Well, now the season started, I don't know, 8 or 9 days. 8
or 9 days a month?
Yeah.
How are you doing that? Because you live in Idaho. You can't even just drive in Idaho. Are you leaving the state every weekend?
Every weekend.
Jeez. So how committed are you? You're just 100% committed to getting good?
Yep, every day. Every day, that's what I wake up and focus on and work. I mean, I even told my employees, I'm like, unfortunately, you guys are kind of second to what's going on right now. I said, you'll have a job, you'll have work, you have every day. But if I'm not there and I'm not answering questions, I've got another focus. So work with me, be patient, and we'll work through it. And they're fine with it, and they get it. So yeah,
okay.
That's where we're at right now. So yeah.
So even your business, are you going to be able to continue your business and making money and everything while doing pro stuff, or are you going to have to figure out sponsor situation? What's your plan? Are you going to be a professional drifter? Are you going to be a professional contractor that just dabbles and that's your hobby?
No, I mean a little bit of both, obviously. I mean, I think in the end, just if I can make it so that I can participate on a pro level for what I was investing on an amateur level, then I'm happy, I guess, at that point. So I mean, I'm gonna have to prove myself, and I think if I can prove myself, then I think it'll open some doors. And then and my construction company, yeah, I'm gonna slow down this year a little bit, but that's okay. I mean, just a little bit, just so that I have time to be away and I'm not pressured from work.
And you do this while having kids and a wife and a life?
Oh yeah.
I don't know how you keep this together. Just driving every weekend outside of your own state is crazy. Are you leaving the trailer somewhere else and flying in?
No.
You're leaving the state and driving with your truck and trailer and coming back?
You're
fully committed.
We were in Seattle last weekend, or the weekend before, and then we were in Salt Lake last weekend, and now we're back here this weekend. And then when we get home, we're gonna go to Vegas 3 days later, and then we're gonna come home and we got Medford the next weekend, and then we have FD 2 weeks later.
That's crazy.
So yeah, we got a big venue planned, but that's.
So do you think that's the ticket? Just drive as much as you humanly can?
That's what I watched Rome do, and that's I'm just kind of chatted with him about it, and I think that's the hardest thing with drifting is really getting seat time in it, because it's. You can't go every day, and that's why Luke's so good, is he can drive every single day and get out there, and Chelsea's so good, he can drive every day.
You're driving a quarter of every day of the week on track, though. That's mental, especially when you consider you typically have to trailer out there and back just as many days as you drive. That means 50% of all your days is either drifting or traveling for drifting, and you're not even pro yet.
Yeah, we're just burning fuel.
That's insane.
Yeah.
His whole thing.
Oh God, yeah.
You're in video.
Fuck no.
Yes, you are. And special thanks to BC Racing Coilovers for supporting everything that Lone Star Drift and Drift Week does. Thank you so very much for that. Thank you to ECU Master USA for doing the exact same thing and providing us with great standalone ECU products and all the other stuff that you do. Thank you so much, ECU Master USA. Thank you to Y-Plate Imports. If you need a Japanese imported car, hit up Trenton over at Y-Plate before prices go so high that we can't ever afford them again. Thank you to Torco Oils and Fuel for supporting Drift Week. We'll be using their products during the drag racing portion of the stuff to to boost up the turbo cars and hopefully make them beat the naturally aspirated cars in that $500 bounty drag race. And thank you so much to Drift HQ for bringing out the support van. So when all the cars break down, we can put more head gaskets in the SR cars and keep them going. So, is this the way to do it, you think?
No, no, but I don't want to miss out on something just because I mean, I'm at a point in my life I can afford to do it on a tight budget, and I have a wife that's supporting me and all the eggs are in a basket to be able to do that. It's not like I'm really making anybody sacrifice big time because of it. If I was, then it would change my thoughts about the whole thing. But I mean, at this point, I've got a lot of good help behind me, and so I'm just gonna go play with it and see what happens.
I am having a baby, and I can't even imagine driving, like, at all having a baby. This is crazy you do all this. I mean, you don't have babies, you have older children.
Yeah,
right?
my boy was helping me. He's like a 12-year-old. He changes all the tires on the cars, you know.
That's wild.
You know.
Okay, so yeah. Let's get into this conversation a little bit more meat and potatoes. So you are going to be driving in a Formula D Pro Spec 2.
Yes.
Is this the correct way to go about becoming, like, what's your ultimate goal? What's your ultimate goal to get there? What are the mistakes that you're making currently and how to correct them? And what are the correct things you're doing? Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
go
for Pro Spec.
Because each dollar is a choice, and you have to apply every dollar correctly in every unit of time, or else you're gonna fail. And most people fail.
Yeah, I mean, so you're already, I mean, just like, I guess, I've already overbuilt the car, I think, and then maybe reeling it back in and doing things different. I already would change on the motor and the whole thing. So I mean,
what would you already change?
I mean, at this point, I would have it a front mount radiator, and I'd have it NA, and I would have bought the biggest, nastiest NA motor in it and made it so much more simple with the front mount in it. And
right now it's a supercharged LS motor?
Yeah, supercharged LS with the rear mount. It's just so much more complex, just like everybody said to do, blah, blah, blah. Keep it simple. But at that point, I didn't have the budget to spend for $20,000 for a really fast NA motor. But now I've got that into this other motor too, so I could have.
But it allowed you to kind of like finance it on layaway, buying one part at a time.
Correct.
And feeling crazy. Also, man, that supercharged motor makes crazy torque that NA1 wouldn't make.
Sure.
So you've driven the car too. We're kind of bouncing around. I shouldn't get ahead of myself. How'd you like it driving a torquey motor like that?
It was insane. I mean, I was going on scrubs, but I was blown away with how, I mean, it was, anytime I'd step on it, it would just spin. So yeah, it was unreal.
In a good way?
Yes, it was awesome. It was awesome.
So going back to the previous question, how can you apply the money and time you're doing right now as well as possible? Because you're spending a lot. Everything's a choice.
How can I spend it better?
Yeah. How can you spend your time and money better? Right now you're doing a ton of seat time. Some of the guys choose to, like, say, have a YouTube channel. They just spend all their time with sponsor packets, you know, selling themselves. They spend their time, I don't know what people spend their time doing.
I prefer to spend my time actually at work and make a little bit more money and not have to do all the sponsor things. I mean, I have a few of them
that makes a lot of sense.
They're helping me out, but I have a good system with what I've got going on at work. I've got good help there right now. I've got about 6 really good sponsors, and they're helping us through it, but then I don't have to deal with a ton of them. They're not doing that much for me that I'm having to bend over backwards for them, but they're definitely helping.
So you're kind of driving on your own dime and not worrying about that stuff?
For the most part, if it falls, I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, so I really don't have a lot of help. So I'm kind of like, I'm not like down in SoCal where there's already people there, you're jumping onto their bandwagon with them because you know them and you're good buddies with them. So, I mean, the majority of my sponsors are only a small percentage off. They're nothing where you're like, I can see a difference in it. I mean, they all help. So, I mean, I really appreciate it all, but it's nothing, there's no free nothing yet.
Yeah. So I always try and think a little clickbait titles and stuff. What's the biggest hurdle right now to you being a pro driver? What do you need to overcome?
Getting in the car and driving it consistently, and it working.
Okay. So really,
a good consistent car.
You haven't done any real testing yet, and Formula D's almost started.
Correct.
But it's probably very similar to your car right now, this V8 car, but just faster?
Yes, it did. Okay. It felt a lot the same.
So it's not that big of a change?
No, I don't feel like it is. We've already got some bugs issued, addressed and fixed. So, and the car felt a lot the same. So I think if we can just get the supercharger to cool down, we'll be fine. It felt a lot the same and had the same suspension front and rear. So
it sounds like this is your hobby is going to be Formula D. It's not going to be a career.
If I could do it, who knows? It's a dream. And
can't be your career within 3 years at this rate, probably. You know what I mean? The next 3 years is you self-financing and doing your thing and learning, huge learning curve.
No, I mean, I would say my goal, my end goal though, is to be able to drive Pro Spec for 10 years though, and not break the bank and change the way that I'm doing it. Like I like the thought that they're trying to make it a little cheaper and drive it so people can the sport will have a little more longevity. So have a little more inexpensive car, have a smaller team, don't put that much money into it per se, and then do it like a clutch kicker series, even though it's a little higher level. But
can you elaborate on how they've actually made it a cheaper series? Since you are, budgeting and doing all this stuff.
I can't say that they have made it cheaper, but I will make it like, don't take it as serious. Like you don't have to have a crew there that is gargantuan. Like Christoph Bluth, I believe, came with just one person, and so therefore, like you don't have to come even like on my level, just have one helper and that's it, and it is what it is. And if you win with your helper, great. And if you don't, and that's just to make it so you can afford to come to them. And not spend a ton of money. You kind of need a spotter
and a helper, though. That's
my wife's my spotter, though.
Okay, so I was gonna say you can't not have a spotter. Yeah. They don't allow you to not have a spotter.
Right. Well,
you kind of need a media guy. And you kind of need a catering guy.
You kind of do need them all. You kind of need them all, but you just got to back it up and say, my wife's my spotter, she's the truck driver, she's the caterer, and I have one of the dudes mechanic, and he's probably going to be my boy within a couple of years. So probably my boy who's right there that they're going to allow at that age, because he's with me every day, to be my mechanic, and it'll cost me way little, and it'll just be my entry fees, and it'll just be me being able to compete on a pro level and still be able to budget it rather than have the Airbnbs and 5 people there and all their flights and all that stuff.
So y'all are going to sleep in the trailer at the track?
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Okay. Do they allow that there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about all these things. So what do you think a reasonable Pro Spec 2 budget is? Pro Spec?
30, 35, 30, something like that.
Okay, so you think you can do the season for 30,000?
Between 30 and 35.
How much did you spend on building the car?
100, maybe 80 to 100.
So you're saying it only costs 30 to do the series when you spend 100 to build the car?
Is
that accurate, or is that
something
tricking
like that.
yourself a little bit? Because you gotta factor in the car as well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but the car costs way more than I thought, but.
Yeah, they always do.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just pushing you to think about this stuff. I question everything, you know. So
No.
realistically, if you only do this for 1 year, your budget's 130,000, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying 30, but it's really 130.
Yeah, but it's taken me a long time to build it. I had money saved up before, and then I used all that that year's money and this year's.
You gotta be honest with the budget and still.
Oh yeah, there wasn't a budget when I did it. I just start clicking away at it, and I knew it was gonna. Yeah. I guess the budget was 60 grand at it originally.
Yeah.
You know.
So you've kind of broken the budget then.
Yeah. Yeah.
By a lot. Once you get into it, once you start getting really competitive, I know you're probably like me, where you get frustrated with something, and if you're not liking the supercharger or whatever, you're like, tear it out, just do it right once. Yeah. I'll part all that, I'll get rid of it. And you're like, you buy the motor you want, or whatever part you want.
Yep.
To be competitive. Gets out of hand fast.
Really fast.
Really fast. We all lie to each other on how much it costs, I think. How much did you spend last year in tires? Just tires.
12,000.
12,000?
At least.
But you're saying you can budget a whole FD series for 30 grand?
I'm hoping.
How much are you going to budget this entire year for tires? Oh,
I have 40 available, but I'm hoping to do it for 30.
So are you including your normal drifting as well in your budget, or that's separate?
No.
That's separate?
That's separate.
Okay. So you're really into drifting and spending it?
Yeah.
I am too, so I can't pitch.
Yeah. No,
by the way, I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything. I just question stuff because you know how much I spend on Ebisu and all my other trips.
Yeah.
We all spend a lot in drifting. And if someone prods me, I'm like, don't ask me how much that costs. I'm like, I don't want to think about it.
It's a ton. Really, I just don't want my employees to see this. Other than that, because then they're jealous on what I'm wasting my money on. But really, the reality is,
but it's also your choice. You could be buying a Corvette or something.
Sure. The reality is our Airbnbs do so well for us that my work money is all play money. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about in this conversation before we finish? Because I think it's unique that you're doing a lot of driving right now and that you're doing Formula D. We've kind of touched on both of those things. Do you want to like dive into one of those deeper? You want to ask me something to prod back? Are any of the other Pro Spec or Pro 2 guys driving as much as you, do you think? Is that your leg up?
I'm hoping so, for sure. I mean, I got to drive with Rome a bunch right after on like February 14th, and we got a lot of good driving in, and I really feel like that's just being able to drive. I'm like, it's gonna go all of Drift Week. I've got another event. I've got another event. I've got another event. And I'm gonna have like 4 days off, and then we're going to FD. And I feel like just driving all those days right into there, I'm gonna be feeling really good. Had driven with some high-level drivers, and I think that's the ticket.
What's the most valuable seat time you've gotten recently in the last year or two to improve your driving?
Just Drift Week.
You think Drift Week?
Yeah.
Done probably what, 26 days on track or something on just Drift Weeks? That's pretty nuts for 3 Drift Weeks.
Yeah, I hope it helps.
And driving with guys like Chelsea and Matt Field and Brandon. You and Brandon were on fire on Drift Week too.
Yeah, I got to stay away from him this time. He's got a brand new car. He's going to be a little...
So it's okay.
I know.
Did you see the heads off of it?
I know. I just saw the video.
He'll get it back together though.
He'll be back short. He'll probably just miss villains.
What do you love?
What do I love? I just like driving. I just love getting on people's doors. And I like the sound of a turbo when it's coming up on your doors and it unspools right when they sink their fender on your door. That's what I love.
Was there a moment when drifting, we're just about to wrap this up, was there a single moment in like Drift Week 2 era where it clicked? Because you were a completely different driver between Drift Week 1 and 2. On Drift Week 1, you weren't very confident. You kind of just drove around behind, like everybody, 5 cars back.
Okay, I
you
can answer that
also ran. You're like, hey guys, I'm here too. And then Drift Week 2, you're just like, boom! Like you're one of the better drivers on it.
So to answer that is you smashed Brandon's car, and so after that it was game on. It was really, yeah, it really was. So we were on Drift Week 1, and
blame it on me.
Oh no, we were at the Airbnb. I remember the exact day. We were at the Airbnb talking to Matt and Luke, and Matt says the only way you're gonna get better is driving with somebody who doesn't care if you push on them and rub on them. You just you got to find that dude. And I'd always kind of actually that I don't know his name, but one of the BMWs has some bitch on his car. But anyway, we had done a little rubbing racing, and it was really fun. But anyway, Brandon smashed his car, and we were at park, and I looked at him, and I'm like, so I can push on you all I want now, right? And he's like, I don't care. And so for all summer long,
step forward so you don't get run over, Si. We got trucks coming by. Keep going.
So for all summer long, it was just I kept pushing him, and I'd just sink right up in on his door, and I would just like not even dent my car, and I'd just push him, and then I'd sink up on the other side, and I'd just push him, and I just and I didn't care. Before, he really doesn't want his car hit, and so so I brought in the proximity from 4 feet away to, just pushing on him, and it was super fun for the summer.
So get a tandem buddy that you feel comfortable with and allows you to beat on the car, and you don't feel bad for wrecking the car and all these things.
Yep.
And that was the secret?
Yep,
That's a good secret. I would say that I also had similar circumstances that kind of like leveled me up at specific times. Because if you're around somebody and their car is too fragile, like you just don't have the confidence because you're like, oh God, I don't want to total that guy's car.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to end with?
No.
Nope.
Good.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you do in 2021. It's going to be a completely new thing, driving and pro stuff like that.
I'm excited.
You're going to be pushing yourself. You're going to be feeling the budget burn. You're going to have to make expensive choices of where to put your money, because money and time are important. And if you want to win and be competitive, you're going to probably have to make some choices.
Right.
I hate those choices.
Less playing, maybe more driving from state to state.
Yeah.
But
I hate the idea of, say, right now you're driving so much, it's a big budget to drive that much. We all know how expensive drifting is. And if you want to make big expensive changes to the pro car to be more competitive, you might be drawing back on some of that other stuff.
Already had to a little.
Yeah, and then suddenly you start losing sight of what's, like made you good in the first place.
Right.
And maybe that extra driving would have been better than making that change to your car with a different transmission or, whatever.
Right.
It's mind-breaking to think about all that stuff. Like what makes you great and what makes you exciting, and like how to create a fan base and how not just to be an also ran, or all these different things.
Lots to it.
That's good. Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
I will see you on track.
Okay.
Villain starts tomorrow, which I don't know when we'll be releasing this video, but should be a good day. Is your car going to survive that?
Oh yeah.
Good.
I've driven there a lot. I got a season pass or a lifetime pass here, so
Oh, dang.
yeah.
That's rad.
I got a spot on the paddock that's mine. Boom, boom, boom.
Really?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
such a cool thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And